Hello and welcome to the Empowered by Claudia podcast, where we explore all things self-development. Here you'll discover practical tools, tips and strategies to help you feel more confident, empowered and in control of your life. I'm Claudia, I'm your host, I'm a registered nurse and mindset coach, fear of success instructor, and most importantly, your guide on your self-development journey. I know firsthand how confusing and overwhelming and isolating this path can feel. So I created this podcast so you never have to navigate it alone. Hi, lovely. So welcome back to the Empowered by Claudia podcast. And today we are talking about when fear meets hope and how to escape doubt. And also why who you listen to matters and how to stay rooted in your beliefs. So, there is a common phrase that says that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that is so true. Think about the people that you see most regularly. Say, for example, if you're in a workplace that's not particularly happy or healthy, you'll spend most of your day complaining about it. And then you think that everybody is like that. Everyone's job is like that. It's the same if you do like a certain hobby, you will always you'll feel like everybody's doing that hobby because they're the people that you surrounded by. And when we start a new thing, so when I started my coach training, I didn't know any other coaches. It felt so alien and just completely different to anything that I'd done. Like I spent my career in the NHS. I knew about different NHS roles. Wasn't exposed to coaching in that way. It was only through making those connections online, through my training, through other networking sessions, that I now have a good network of coaches that I class as friends. And I see them hitting their goals and smashing it. And I know that coaching is the career for me. And I think when you are on your own, starting something new, it can feel really hard when you don't have those examples of people who are going out there and achieving the thing that you're trying to work towards. And particularly if the other people, it might be, I don't know, say for example, if you were wanting to quit smoking and all of your friends are smokers, it's going to feel really hard to make that change. Whereas if you're the only smoker in a group of non-smokers, it's going to feel more normal because we judge ourselves on the people we spend the most time with. And also seeing firsthand in real life, people actually making a success, not just hearing stories of people that you can't identify with. That is so motivating and empowering. So I've been thinking a lot about doubt and confidence, and I've done a few episodes about goals so far, and I feel like this is really gonna fit so nicely with it. So something happened at the weekend and it made me think it's not necessarily the loud critics that can knock us off course with our actions towards our goals. Sometimes it's little comments, a raised eyebrow, or things that maybe it's concern that's dressed up as protection and caring about you, but it just plants that little seed of doubt. And so today I'm going to talk about how you protect that vision, that goal, when not everybody else around you can see it yet. Some people might think that you are crazy, that you're delusional. Some people will think you're inspiring. And it's about how you keep your belief in yourself and in your vision, whilst accepting, actually, that fear has a purpose and it can be motivating and it can work in harmony with hope. Rather than them just being negative and being contagious, and that fear and doubt just taking over and taking away the hope. Actually, that isn't the case. They can work beautifully together and complement each other. It wasn't last week, it was the week before. I created my vision board for 2026 and I went on Canva and I had a mixture of stock images and personal images from my life just to signify the things that I wanted to achieve this year. And it's a mix of personal and business. It's all together because let's face it, boundaries, life, it's not that easy to segment things. And also sometimes things cross over as well. So essentially, I've got it, I've printed it out, and it's literally just above my computer, so I'm seeing it all the time. And on there, I've got a mixture of the pictures, but then also some wording, things like "Why Not Me," which is one of the episodes that I've recorded recently, and then things like quality family and relationship time, this or something better, which is a really great phrase to use when doing any sort of manifestation practices. And on there, I've got an income goal, and I put it on there and I thought, yes, it is a stretch, but it would effectively be replacing my NHS salary. And my mum was visiting and she saw my vision board above my desk and raised her eyebrows and said, "Wow, that's a lot of money." And I was like, well, it technically is the equivalent of what my NHS salary would have been if I was working full time, which I wasn't. And, I think it is achievable. And she just said, "Oh, well, I just don't want you to be upset when it doesn't happen." And I was like, "What do you mean when?" It's like, if, maybe, but when? Like, do you not believe in me? Like it felt like, it's like, oh, and I know that it wasn't a lack of belief or love. And I know that that was her money mindset and her beliefs coming into play and her blocks, just saying, "Oh gosh, how can we make this happen?" And I think also when you haven't seen that, when you haven't got the concrete evidence in front of you, it can be really hard to trust. And obviously she cares and she doesn't want me to be disappointed, but also doesn't want me to, get into financial difficulty either. And I get that. It did sting. And I thought, okay, maybe you're feeling the same. Maybe you have dared vocalize a goal and someone has made a tiny facial expression or just something, or just not really said the right thing, something that's just made that little seed of doubt creep in. And that can be really hard. And so this episode is for you. It's for me as well, because, I've got to coach myself. But I sense check this with Ed. And I said, "Oh, do you think I'm crazy for putting that on?" And he said, "No, I think it's perfectly achievable." Now, what you don't know is he is a pessimist deep down, and he's always cautious. In the sacred money archetypes, he is definitely an accumulator. And for him to say, "No, I believe in you, you can do this," I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. This is good. I know I'm not. But having that sense check of someone who sees things black and white, who isn't remotely woo-woo, who doesn't really see manifesting, although sometimes he will say, "Can you get me a parking spot?" Because he knows that when I do put my mind to it, we do get a parking spot. I thought, okay, yeah, no, there is something in this. And this is the thing. And I feel so incredibly blessed to have someone who's got my back, who trusts me, who knows that I can make this happen without having that evidence. I've never met that goal before, but he believes in me. And ultimately, we're not just putting something on a piece of paper and expecting it to fall into our laps, but this is a goal, and behind it is a plan to get towards that goal. And even if we don't know how it's going to come about, having that hope and belief is so important. And fear is important, because actually that can prompt you to make the plan, to take the actions, to say, okay, so what am I going to do? What am I going to put in place to make sure this does happen? It's not about doubting that it's not going to happen. It's about making sure that you are ready. It's like preparing your CV, even when your perfect job hasn't come up, but so that when that application comes up, you can get it in immediately. You don't want to risk that closing early. You're prepared. You're ready. And that's where fear can really help, because it says, okay, what can I do? What can I bring to the table? Yes, I've got hope. Yes, I've got that vision, but actually, what can I do to give it a helping hand? What can I do to say, I'm ready? I am open for business. I am here. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, is really one, being so grateful to have someone in my corner, to have a community of business besties who I can share audacious goals with, and say, yeah, this is what I want this year. And they're like, hell yeah. They're not judging me, not thinking, they're, they're literally like, yes, let's do it. I'm coming along for the ride. I'm going to set that goal too, because why not? Why not us? And so if you are making a big goal this year, that even deep down you think, can I really do it? Community and having other people who are also working towards the same thing is so important, because when you hear their celebrations, their successes, that tells you, it gives you evidence that this is possible. It's why people enjoy reading autobiographies, but because it's really interesting to see and go along with someone's story and actually go, wow, I can relate to that. Like, I felt like that before, and that makes sense to me. So I want to talk to you about how we can blend the fear and the hope together to really help us escape from doubt. Whether it's a comment that we have made to ourselves, whether it's something that we've picked up from someone else, maybe they were talking about another person, but actually secretly that's our goal, and we're taking that on board. Try and take the emotion out of it. So people are rarely outrightly negative, but what we often express are our own concerns and our own perspective of what's possible for us. So if you hear people saying, like, I'm never going to lose weight, or if I lose weight, I'm going to put it all back on, and that's just what happens. Some of that is being self-protective. So we don't want to get hurt. We don't want to get our hopes up and then it all come crashing down. And I think also it's really hard when you are setting a big goal. And the people who give us most support are probably people who are a bit more removed, that are a bit more distant. They're not necessarily our direct family and friends, because they're too concerned about caring for us ultimately, that can't let go of that protective mechanism to actually suspend reality and actually believe with you and hope for change and difference and the future. So next time that you're talking about a goal or a dream with someone that you love and they express some negativity, whether that is verbally or non-verbally, say to yourself that just because they love you doesn't mean that what they're saying has to be true. And you get to do something differently. You get to break the mold. And what I do say is that sometimes it is really hard when you are making a massive change, because people get comfortable with who you are, and you get stuck in this kind of, change is scary, isn't it? When we put people in boxes, don't we? And you'll be, you're the friend who, I can go for cake with. And then suddenly you're the friend that's on a diet and not eating cake. Oh, well, that's kind of, you've gone out of the box. You've changed. And change is scary. And we don't know what life will look like post change. And so some of that resistance, some of that concern can actually be selfish. Be like, but so say, for example, if you have another friend in business and they do really well, will they still want to be your friend when they're earning millions of pounds? I'd hope so. But, all of these little insecurities come up going, but if we're too different, what will we talk about? Will we still be friends? And that worry can creep in subconsciously. We don't realize, being different, putting our head above the parapet, being an outsider, that is dangerous. That is scary. And we have to adjust our nervous system to say, actually, that's safe. It is safe for me to make changes. And this is where it's really important to think about who you are spending the most time with. Are you around people who are lifting you up, who are inspiring you, who are motivating you, who are encouraging you, who believe in you? And paying attention to people who, when you spend time with them, they bring you down. And this is nothing personal. Some people just have different energies and different enthusiasms. And different mindsets. And some people will always focus on the negatives. And you can come away feeling really jaded and disheartened. And actually, in the words of Taylor Swift, shake it off. You've got to shake off that negativity and know that it's not for you. You don't need that. It's not about cutting them off, but just being conscious that, okay, that is not the space to share what I'm working on. That is a space to go and then make sure I'm feeling protected and cared for afterwards. And if you can limit the time that you're with those people, that'd be great. Sometimes you can't. I get that. We can't always control who we are working with or, other people in groups. But let's really try and be conscious about who we're sharing our dreams with, because we need that hope and motivation to keep us going. And so a little reflection is, after you spend time with someone, do I feel motivated, inspired? Do I feel happy? Do I feel joyful? Or do I feel exhausted and drained and in need of a very long sleep or a big hug? And just be mindful of that when you're planning or saying yes or no to things. How is interaction with that person going to make you feel? So I want to share with you a little neurolinguistic programming, so NLP mindset reframe. And this is called parts integration. And look, we are multifaceted. We have so many different parts of us. We have hope, that part that dreams, that gets us to stretch towards big goals, that wants more, that keeps us moving, that keeps us trying new things. And that fearful part that worries, that hesitates, that is focused on keeping us safe and alive. So the problem isn't that we're afraid. The problem is that we think that one of these parts has to win and the other has to vanish. But that's not the case. The case is that they're not opposites. They are collaborators. They both have a purpose. They are both here to protect us and nurture us. And that fear will often show up when something's really important to us. Because it matters, because you care, actually, the consequences, they feel more real and big, for want of a much better word. So I'm going to talk you through a little exercise that I hope you find helpful. So I want you to think of a goal that feels exciting, but also a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit, oh, I'm pushing the boundaries. And notice the parts of you that are feeling hopeful, motivated, and inspired. And then notice the parts of you that are worried, doubting, or hesitating. And I like to visualize it as one little person on one shoulder and another little person on the other shoulder. But you can see it however you want, whatever feels right for you. And instead of separating them, pushing them away, or trying to get rid of one or the other, imagine them sitting side by side and ask the fearful part, what are you trying to protect me from? And ask the hopeful part, what do you want from me? Now imagine those two parts, these two little people working together. The hopeful part is setting the direction, and the fearful, cautious part is supporting you with grounding, pacing, care. You do not need to silence fear in order to move forward. You just need to stop letting it be in control and driving you. And that is so powerful. You let hope set the sat nav. Imagine that hope is sat nav, and fear can be with you in the car. Fear can say, okay, just watch out for that obstacle up ahead. But hope keeps us, it's like our North Star. It says this is possible, but we're going to do it safely. We're not going to push too hard. We're not going to make crazy decisions like spending money before it's actually arrived. We're going to be sensible, but we're still going to hope. But just when you have them, the hope and the fear working together, is so powerful. Rather than trying to deny the fear, avoid the fear, put your head in the sand about the fear, and just focus on hope, we can make reckless decisions. We can feel like we're waiting for the other shoe to fall. We really should stop creating things. But essentially, it feels safer in our nervous system. It feels doable. and it feels safe, and it's getting a bit emotional. When you have big goals and when you feel dismissed or like people don't believe in you, especially when you have spent your life with really low self-confidence and self-belief, you can feel like throwing in the towel. You think, well, why even bother? And I really encourage you to not. Think about all of the things that you have achieved so far, all of those qualities that you have. You are resourceful, you are resilient, you are courageous, and you deserve to have a big dream. You deserve to believe that that is possible. And I think that doubt, it's other people's doubt. They can have their doubt. We don't need to take that on. That's their opinion. That is coming through their perspective on the world, their life experiences. We can look and think, okay, is there anything in there that might be worth listening to? But we don't need to take the fear. We can use it, kind of distill the fear away and actually think, okay, so is there anything of value in here that's going to help me? How is that fear protecting me? And how can I use that for the greater good in getting towards our goal? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about the people that you spend lots of time with, you're thinking about your support circle and thinking, I don't know if I want to share my goal with you. I don't know if I feel safe to share that goal with you because I don't know how you're going to react. Or even that I don't know, I want to keep it for me just now. I see you. I believe in you. And I know that you've got this, that you can achieve your goal. No matter if you've never achieved other goals, this time, I know you can do it. You are resourceful. You are strong and courageous. And I absolutely know that you can take the fear and blend it with the hope and bring them together to overcome those doubts. I absolutely know this is possible for you. And you might say, Claudia, you don't know me. But I do. I believe you. And you come here and you listen to this podcast. So I know that it's been a struggle. I know that things aren't always easy and that life can feel chaotic and messy and just absolutely crazy. But I also know that you keep coming back because you know you want something bigger and better than this. And I know that that is what's going to keep you going. But please, if you want someone to cheer you on, to have your back, to keep you going with motivation, then come and join me either for one-to-one coaching or in my Goal Getter membership. And we will happily support you and we'll be there cheering you on and letting you know that you are not alone in this journey, regardless of what your goal may be, that you have friends. And let me tell you, when you actually meet people you've just met virtually in real life, it's amazing. It's so good. But you can do this. I know you can. And if you take nothing away from this but the fact that you can turn that fear, that doubt into hope. And this is not just being overly positive without any grounding. And I think that's where the fear and the doubt actually play a really important part, because that makes us have a plan. That makes us sit there and go, right, I'm going to need a strategy. How am I going to do this? And what steps do I need to take? And actually, okay, it's really scary going to do this first step, but I know that if I don't, I'll always regret not trying. So next time you're wanting to talk about your goals, just be really mindful. What do I want from this situation? Do I want someone to provide me with something that's going to help me with my goals? Do I want encouragement or support? And do we think that these people are the right people to do that? Is this the right time to share that? Or actually is it in a different friendship group or family group or whatever it might be? And just because you're scared doesn't mean it can't happen. So thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Empowered by Claudia podcast. Take care. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Empowered by Claudia podcast. I'm Claudia from claudiasabinawellness.com. If you are ready to take your next step and transform your life, all the ways to connect with me, whether for coaching, courses, or any other sort of support are in the show notes or on my website at www.claudiasabinawellness.com. If you found value in this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review, share it with a friend, or post about it on social media. Don't forget to tag me at Claudia_Sabina_wellness. Your support helps more people discover the tools and guidance they need. I cannot wait to support you on your journey. Much love.